My name is Sam Silvier, and I am directing Antigone for Cradle Theatre Company. And it's a story that has lasted and been retold and retold and retold across continents, across cultures for, over 2,000 some years. For me, I'm just interested in why this story gets retold, and there are these sort of like titans on each side fighting. There's this woman who is the political rebel, and there's this man who represents this misguided authority. Not often do we see plays that are so black and white. I'm interested in why this story has sort of persevered. I got this feeling more than a year ago when I started working on this adaptation, this project. And right now, with sort of the feeling of political unrest and this feeling of being so diametrically opposed, so black and white, so partisan, this play just speaks to the need to find a middle ground. When you don't recognize the middle ground, it erupts in violence and it erupts in injustice. I think that is what speaks to, or I hope will speak to, an audience today. The play itself, you could put the thing through a blender and we'd still have Antigone because it's so historically significant. You can't destroy the play itself. So what I want to play with is how does the experience of going to the theater and what you're expected to do and the etiquette of the theater, how does that relate to the content of what's going on in the play? Thinking about that dialogue between, what's really going on with the audience and what's going on with these characters, what's going on with the audience, what's going on with the actors. What I'm interested in is how can we feel this play? How can we feel this play now? And what about right now is going to let us into understanding what has allowed this play to last so long? One of the major design elements, let's say, of the play is that it's staged almost entirely in the dark. Part of the audience experience is just going to be this intensely pleasurable and rich listening, almost listening to the music of these words and just being free to let your mind wander wherever you want while that's in the room. The second part of it will be sort of the question of what do you do when you're faced with the content? What do you do in the face of injustice? How do you react when you are forced to discover and make a choice related to what you think is right? And sometimes that process is uncomfortable, and sometimes that process is very pleasurable for some people. I think it's going to be a second part of the experience to be bumped up against this, now I have to make a choice. Auditions were amazing. Tara came in and was just like a blast of wind in the face, as with Malka, and then those two together were just like, and it was fire. And then Patrick and Stephen worked really well together, and then when we read David and Tara against one another, it was just explosive reading these people together. And then Phoebe came in on the first day for an open audition, and immediately we were like, we need this person's energy and we need this person's sort of point of view and vibe in the room for this process, because it's going to be, these 6 people are going to be working so closely together. It's going to be a different experience for me as a director. It's going to be a different experience for the actors. It will certainly be a new experience, hopefully a generative one for audience that attend the event. I'm Sam Silvier. I'm the director of Antigone.